Hello, I'm back. Welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears. And I don't know about you guys, but boy, did I need that bye. After that Green Bay game, I was spent. It's been a rough season. We knew it was going to be like this, but I was just spent. I got to tell you what. Woo! So I'm back, I'm rejuvenated, and I'm ready for the next 4 games of the Bears season. How about you guys? Let's see if we can't pull a win or two out of our hats, although it's going to be awfully tough because the last 4 games are some really tough opponents. We've got this week, obviously, Philadelphia. Then we got the Bills, both at home. Then we got Detroit in Detroit. And then the last game at Soldier Field is Minnesota. So 3 out of the 4 have winning records, and all 4 of them are headed to are trying to get into the playoffs. Probably 3 out of the 4 are going to be in the playoffs, and Detroit is going to go trying for a wild card. So maybe we'll upset the apple cart a little bit. We'll see. So let's get into the nitty gritty of the game, and then we'll talk more. But I welcome you all back. It's good to be back in the seat. I did do my podcast on Wednesday, so you could always check that out. Me and Dan did one, and we graded all the starters. We gave them grades, and then we had a special guest on too. So you might want to check that out. It's a Bears Country Podcast, and then the show title is The Download with Dan and Lynn. It was a good one. It was a good one. A little long, but a good one. So let's get into it, guys. Okay, so the Bears are 3-10. Philadelphia is 12-1. They are a really good team, so we could be in some trouble here. That's all I'm saying. Let's get in. So these two teams have met 46 times, including 4 postseason games, and Philadelphia has won 16 games, and the Bears won 29. Wow, and there was also a tie in there. And so this is one of the few teams this year that the Bears actually have a better record than the team they're playing. And their first meeting was in 1933. So they've been playing throughout the years a long time. So now we're going to get into the bad part. So the Bears, pass-wise as a team, are only averaging 140 yards a game, which we're still dead last. We've been pretty much dead last in the past, I think, the whole season. We probably after game 1 we weren't, but then after that we were dead last. 32 out of 32 teams were 32nd. Philadelphia is averaging 229 passing yards a game, and that puts them 14th in the league. Our rushing average is 189, and that puts us, you guessed it, number 1. So we've been at number 1 for quite a few weeks, but Philadelphia is right up our butt. They are averaging 162 yards, and that puts them in second place, and they're tied with somebody. The Bears have scored an average, pretty lowly, 20 points a game. That puts them 19th in the league. They're not 32nd, so let's be happy about that. And because they have been scoring points, they just not enough to win the games. As we all know, they can't finish a game. And then Philadelphia has been scoring an average, putting up 29 points a game. That puts them first. So they're first in the league there. We're in trouble. Then points given up by the defense. The Bears are averaging 25 points a game. That puts them 29th. Pretty low in out of 32 teams. And Philadelphia is allowing about 19 points a game, and that puts them 7th. So you can see that we are really in trouble here. I don't think this is going to be one of the teams that we're going to sneak a win by, but you never know. So Fields right now currently has 1,896 yards, and the only bright spot about that Green Bay game was he passed for 254 yards, and that was the most in one game he passed for this season. So, I've been begging for the Bears to pass more. They've got nothing to lose. Let's see what the kids got. Start slinging it. What the hell? We know we can run the ball. That's not the issue here. So make these offensive guys work a little harder and start earning their paychecks and block for him so he can start passing, because we got to do it. Like I've said before, I heard Trent Dilford say this, and it's so true. The Bears have got to start slinging the ball around if you want to attract any good wide receivers in the offseason, in free agency. If you want to get some, if that's what they're planning on doing, they're not going to want to come to the Bears if you don't show that you're serious about passing. They're not going to come to a team that's just going to run the ball all the time. They're just not going to. So. And Hurts has got 3,157 yards. So this guy's balling it this year. He has really come into his own this year. And I think, what is this, his fourth year? Something like that. So he's really playing lights out. We are rushing. This is the only category we beat him in. Okay. We are rushing, or excuse me. Fields has 905 yards rushing. You can tell I was off for a week, can't you? So he's rushed for 905 yards. Pretty sure he's going to pass 1,000. And Hurts runs too. He's got 686 yards rushing. So you got two running quarterbacks here. And we're going to see how that works for our defensive line, because we know they are bad. Fields has thrown 13 touchdowns with 10 interceptions. Listen to this stat. Hurts has gotten 22 touchdowns with only 3 interceptions. Wow, that is quite a nice ratio. This kid is really playing well. Fields has been sacked 40 times, and that's the only good thing about that Green Bay game too. He was not sacked. I know. Hurts has been sacked a few times. He's been sacked 34 times. So you can see that basically he kicks Fields' butt, but you know what? We know what kind of year it's been, so we're not going to, pound on Fields. So I'm just giving the stats. So let's talk about a couple of the running backs. Now, we know Herbert is out still, and he's still leading the team. Justin's actually leading in rushing, 900 yards, 905. And so David Montgomery comes in second with 641 yards, and he has 4 running touchdowns. Their biggest running back, Sanders, he has 1,068 yards with 11 touchdowns. So the Bears defense is going to have their hands full between this running back, Sanders, that's over 1,000 yards, and Hurts that runs. He's got 686, I think I said. So the defensive line, you're going to have your work cut out here. But the thing is, you came off a bye. All those aches and pains and bruises should be done. Hopefully, you guys did your homework. That's the one thing about Coach Flus. They all had 3 things to work on during the bye when they were off. He sent them home with homework, which I love, because I'm sure the last idiot, the bald-haired idiot, he didn't do any of that. So this is a good thing. Our wide receivers, obviously, there's not going to be a lot of yards compared to Philadelphia, because he's got, double the yards of what Fields has. So, obviously. And when your tight end is leading in the receiver core, that's just not a good sign. We're happy for Clement. So, Clement, our tight end, has 408 yards receiving with 5 receiving touchdowns. That's great for him, but that's just not good for the receiving core. Then we got St. Brown coming in after him at 280 yards receiving with 1 touchdown. David Montgomery our running back, has 244 yards in passing. And then Pettis rounds up the group with 202 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. So you never really want to say your wide receivers and lead it off with your tight end. That just kind of says what kind of year we had. But I'd like to see Sunday do what they did in the Green Bay game, start whipping that ball around. We need to get him these last 4 games much more experience with throwing that ball. I mean, we just do. And not some dumbass play either, okay? Luke doesn't get it. Did you hear me? Okay. So let's talk about their receiving wide receivers, which they're going to have a lot more than we do. A.J. Brown has 10,000. 10,000? Wow, that's a lot of yards. A.J. Brown has 1,020 yards receiving with 10 touchdowns. They have a wide receiver, Smith. He comes in with 775 yards receiving with 5 touchdowns. And Go Dirt. You know me, I'm murdering his name. He comes in with 544 yards receiving with 3 touchdowns. So not even close. Not even close. So I don't know. Let's just see what we got here first, and we'll go from there. Okay. The defense. We'll compare the defenses. When you hear this one stat, then you're going to say we can't throw the ball after I tell you this one stat. So, excuse me. The Bears only have 16 sacks. That's just terrible. They're not getting close. They're just bad. 16 sacks. I'm sure that puts them at the bottom of the league. That's just terrible. Now sit down for this one. The Philadelphia defense has 49 sacks. Yeah, you heard me, 49. Our offensive line has their hands full. So you say, okay, Lynn, you want them to pass, but then you see these 49 sacks that defense is throwing out there. I know. So it's kind of like, damned if we do, damned if we don't in this game. I don't know. I have a pretty good feeling the Bears are not going to be passing a lot. They're going to try to run, but they're going to have a hard time running against the Philadelphia. So they're going to have to make something happen in this game. I don't know what, but they're going to have to. But 49 sacks scares the hell out of me. I'm sure Justin Fields is like, oh, my God. He's probably freaking out when he heard that stat, right? Okay, so then the Bears have 9 interceptions. We have 14 fumbles with 6 recoveries of those fumbles. Philadelphia has 15 interceptions. They have 11 fumbles forced fumbles, 11, and 9 recovered. So we have more forced fumbles, but they've recovered more than we have. And the bottom line, our defense is ranked 19th, which is actually higher than I thought, considering how bad our defensive line is and our linebackers. But our backfield, I think, is really saving their butts. I really do, because they have been playing lights out. This is the scary stat. The Philadelphia defense is second in the league, right behind San Francisco. So, I mean, when I read these stats, right, we're like, okay, so we got 4 games left. We'd like to see if we could upset somebody, because the one thing about Philadelphia is next week they play Dallas, and that's going to be a huge game. I mean, obviously Philadelphia, they have a better record than Dallas, but they're division rivals, and those games are tough, and they both need to win the game. I do believe that Philadelphia has already clinched a playoff. They're going for home field advantage. And the bye. So that's, people say, well, maybe they're overlooking the Bears and they're looking to Dallas. Probably not. But we'll see. I mean, that's why next 4 games, maybe the Bears could sneak out a win or two. I'd like to see at least one more win at the end of the season, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Something that I read that Tony Dungy was talking about at the Bears. So this game is going to be a tough one. Philadelphia's defense is ranked second. They have 49 sacks. As I said, that O-line's going to have their hands full. I don't know what's going to happen. This scares the shit out of me. But we are coming off of a bye. The Bears are rested, clearing their heads, and this is something that I'm going to skip to this while I'm talking about it. So Tony Dungy, I was reading this. He says he's been watching Justin Fields and Coach Matt Eberflus all season. He's been watching them very closely, and he goes and he sees. He said, "I've seen them. They've been in almost every game. He said they really have all games, but their problem is they're not playing for 60 minutes. Winning football is 60 minutes." Of football to come through with a win. So you got to play, and we know the Bears haven't been doing that. They play 3 quarters, and, if they played 3 quarters only, the Bears would probably, as my buddy predicted at the beginning of the season, they probably would be 11-6, Dan. I've been giving my buddy who I do the show with the podcast, he kept predicting 11-6, 11-6. And then when we got to the point where it couldn't be 11-6, I said, so? And he didn't want to talk about it. But Dungy is right. He's like, the Bears haven't played consistently. That they're up and down. They play solid and then they don't, especially in the fourth quarter. So he was saying that everybody's talking about, oh, we don't want to win anymore because we'll get a better draft pick. But that's kind of like seeing the forest through the trees. You know what I mean? There's value in winning. There really is. And for this team, because I was reading this article that he wrote, for this team and for the franchise, we've got a young quarterback. You want him to know what it's like to win. You got to win. You want to get that winning feeling. Once you learn how to win, you'll consistently win. Like Jalen Hurts for Philadelphia. He's had a couple rough years when he came out. The first year for sure, second year maybe too. People like, oh boy, But then they started to win. He started to learn how to play better, and they started to realize what winning was all about, and they get it. And then you know what it feels like. Justin Fields hasn't had that yet. He's had more disappointments, and it's just not Justin. It's home the Bears, but right now we're talking about Justin, and he's driving the ship, right? And he needs to know what it feels like to be a winner, a consistent winner, not one here and there. 3 wins it's like pathetic in the NFL, right? So you need to go in. You want to end this season on somewhat of a high note. So they got to find ways to win and be successful, especially when the pressure's on. And these guys have to learn how to build around winning. They really do. It's very important to know. And the Bears, I don't think they really have that right now. Because of everything that's gone on, yeah, we had the trades and the snap, but we needed to do that. So I hope everybody is over that. It was the right thing to do. We're building for the future. I've been saying all year, until the Green Bay game, that it's going to be an up and down year. It's going to be good. It's going to be bad. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. And then it's going to be great. I mean, maybe 6 weeks ago? I can't remember what game it was. The Bears lost, but they had a phenomenal game, even though they lost. And everybody was running around like they won the Super Bowl, and they still they had only won 3 games at that point. I think it might have been the New England game. And whatever, it doesn't matter. No, we won that game. It was after that. And so I just lost my train of thought. Pickles. Have another cocktail and joint, Lynn. And I'm old, remember, okay? But they got to learn how to win. The bottom line is we want to teach these guys, and it has been a rough year. But if we could end this year on some kind of a high note, maybe we beat Detroit at home. I think we should go after Detroit. Although I'm really happy for Detroit. It's nice to see because Detroit and the Bears know how shitty it is because we are in the same boat. The only difference with the Bears is they won a Super Bowl and Detroit has not. I'm not even sure Detroit's been to the Super Bowl in the Super Bowl era. And we know the Bears have been twice. So I'm happy for Detroit because they're really building a foundation there. And I've said it before, I would love nothing more for the years to come. It's the Bears, Detroit. It's not going to be always the Bears in Detroit, but you know what I mean? Detroit, Bears, Detroit, and leave Minnesota and Green Bay, particularly Green Bay, last. But so I'd like to see maybe the Bears go to Detroit because we should have beaten them in Soldier Field, and damn well we should have. That was another really disappointing game where they really shot themselves in the foot in that fourth quarter. But I'd like to see them do that, and maybe we can sneak out a win against Minnesota. We don't know where Minnesota will be the last game of the season. Will they need to win, or will they rest their starters? And you know what? Even if they rest their starters and we beat them, I'll take it because we're trying to get this this young team to understand what winning is. Now, a lot of them won't be back next year, I'm pretty sure, or we're sure won't be starters. Now, and that's more on the defensive line and the linebackers, I believe, and maybe some of the wide receivers, because the offensive line slowly but surely has been starting to come together. Now, if Patrick was not hurt, I mean, he only played a half quarter at center, and that's what we signed him in the offseason to do. He did play some games at the beginning of the season, but he played guard, right? And that's not his position, and he was terrible at it. But the quarter he played at his actual position that we signed him for, center, that quarter, they looked good, the offensive line, because he was in there barking outdoors and then he got hurt again. So he's out the rest of the season. So right now that signing looks like a bust, but it's the NFL, injuries happen. So if we can get Patrick back at center next year where he should play, and some of these guys are starting to, Jenkins has definitely improved. Whitehair, he's solid. This Leatherwood, I'd like to see him play a little bit more. So maybe we can start building a line and then go get a couple more linemen that we can plug in there and start next season that are going to be good. Go check, and you know what, Bears? Go check the Big Ten, especially like Iowa and stuff. Man, they got some bruisers on those offensive lines. Penn State. See what they got, man. Those guys they corn feed those young men. They're big guys. So we'll see. So this is going to be a tough game on Sunday. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's at home, so that's a good thing. We're coming off the much needed bye for all of us, and including of course the Bears and the Bears fans. So I don't even know what to say. Okay, so to win the game, I have my threes. Penalties, time of possession, turnovers. They have to have 5 or less penalties to be in the game or win the game. And the last couple games the Bears have lost, prior to that, they were keeping their penalties down. But the penalties hurt them in the fourth quarter the last couple games drastically. I mean, just terribly hurt them. So penalties are just such a defeating thing to get, because you're running, you're on offense, you're grooving. Penalty, holding, you go back 10 yards. When the Bears offense goes backwards, they almost 9 out of 10 times do not recover, and they end up putting the ball or throwing an interception. So, we just want to quit with the penalties, okay? So you got to have 5 or less. Time of possession, that it's so important for the Bears to win that. Because, as I say every show, it keeps the Bears offense on the field. That keeps the Bears defense off the field. It keeps the Philadelphia team offense off the field, and it keeps Philadelphia's defense on the field. And you're wearing down their defense. You're chewing up the clock. You're letting your defense rest. And let's face it, you don't want our defense on the field, right? Because they suck. So you've got to win that time of possession. It's huge. So I'd like to see the Bears manage the game a little bit more. Of course, that's usually when you're running the ball really well and you can chew up the clock. So, here I say I want them to throw more. And when you tend to throw a lot more, you don't win the time of possession a lot of times, because you're just throwing. You're either going down the field quickly or you're 3 and out, right? Whew, it's a little warm in here. Even though it's really cold outside. Well, it's not really cold. It's like lower 50s here in Vegas. So I'm just getting all worked up. Woo, I'm getting sweaty because I'm getting all worked up about this game. So the time of possession big, and then the turnover battle. Something we have not done. We started out fairly well in the beginning of the season, and then we've pretty much done a zippo. Zip. Of course, we're missing Eddie Jackson. And that's huge, because I think he had 4 going into the injury. So, but I'd like to see some of these youngsters in the backfield get some interceptions, maybe punch out the ball, cause a fumble. We need turnovers in this game. Turnover. Win the turnover battle. You got a chance to win this game. So you win these 3 things. penalties, time of possession, turnover battle, Bears are going to beat them, but I'm pretty sure that's probably not going to happen. But the good news is Brisker and Gordon, our safety and cornerback, are back this week after being missing 2 games because of concussion. So that is huge. We can really, really use them. I'm doing this show a little earlier today, so I didn't see the injuries for Friday. But Claypool has not practiced Wednesday or Thursday because he's got a knee. So I don't know if he'll be in if he don't play to practice today, we know he's not in the game because that's just how Flus is, Coach Flus. Larry Brom, our offensive lineman, he's got a knee. He didn't play Wednesday. He didn't practice Wednesday, but he did practice Thursday. He limited practice, but he was in. So my guess is he'll play. And then David Montgomery will practice Wednesday, but not Thursday because of an illness. So we all know I'm still coughing. There's so much shit going around. I had RSV that I caught from my wonderful, which I do love my grandson more than anything, but I did. And it was almost 3 weeks. I still got a lingering cough from it. So I'm not surprised. But so we don't have a lot of injuries going in. That's good because you are coming off the bye. So that helps. But this is going to be a really tough game. We know it. So just hang in, Bears fans. You know what I mean? I mean, it's going to be tough. This one, out of the 4 games, I don't think we have a chance. But I've always said, and you never know, anybody I believe can be beat on any given day. Listen, Philadelphia was winning, had no losses until they played their rivals in their division, Washington Commanders, and they're not very good, and they beat Philadelphia, and they made them look bad. I watched that game. So anything can happen, but Philadelphia, it's like the Bears in '85 when they lost that game to Miami and they went 15-1. I believe they needed that loss to knock those assholes off that pedestal they were standing up on and brought them back down to earth. Like, okay, we can be beaten. We're not, invincible, right? So I think it only helped Philadelphia to lose that game. Seriously, because you know what? Going 17-0, okay, yeah, you got, there's a nice little, you're in a stat book somewhere, but that don't mean nothing. Ask New England, I don't know, many years ago, I can't remember what it was. Shucks. 14, 15 years ago, whatever, it might have even been sooner. They went 16-0 and did not win the Super Bowl. So, that don't mean nothing. So a loss to bring you back down to earth is not a bad thing. So Philadelphia is coming to play. I don't think they're going to overlook the Bears at all because they know they're coming off of a bye, and they know teams like that you got to watch out for. And I'm pretty sure they're smart, and I'm pretty sure they're saying the same stuff in that Philadelphia locker room as I'm saying right now. So out of the 4 games, I think this is the win we cannot get. I think it's possible to beat the Bills. They've shown they're vulnerable in spots, and they've lost. Oh God, what is his name? I can't think of his name. He came from. He was with the Rams last year, and then he was with Denver for so long. You know, I'm talking about the linebacker, but Vaughn. Vaughn's out the rest of the year. I don't know if he's out the rest of the year, but he's out this game for sure. And their quarterback has been. He's been hampered with injuries. I think he's got a bad elbow, I think. And so, and then you've got Detroit and Minnesota. So out of these 4 games, I'm pretty sure, guys, just strap yourself in and have a couple cocktails and relax on Sunday. And let's hope we see some good play from the Bears. Error-free. The only way they could win this fall, besides winning the 3s, is error-free football on all 3 aspects of the team. And that means offense, defense, and special teams. Can you hear me? Don't be leaving points on the field. Error-free, 4 quarters football. I mean, the Bears would have to play their perfect game this season to beat Philadelphia. Unless Philadelphia, falls out of the plane, and I don't know. I don't even know why I said that. It's just going to be a tough game. I just want the Bears not to get blown out on Sunday. That's the thing. We haven't been blown out much this year. Just one game, I think. The rest of them, the Bears were in it and in it, and then I mean they were blown out in some aspects, but not until like the fourth quarter, but not terribly blown out like I've seen some scores this year. So I just don't want to see that. I would love to see the Bears pass more, but I just don't know. I think they're gonna come. I don't know. You know what? They're good at everything. They're number 2 defense, Philadelphia, and they have 49 sacks. So it's like, you know, do you throw the ball? Well, you got to throw the ball. So I say the Bears, what they should do is come out throwing right away because they really expect them to run. They know they're going to try to throw the ball, of course, but they expect them to come out running. So I'd say just have some good plays, man. Did you see that guy on San Francisco? I mean, I watch football all the time. I'm a Bears fan, first and foremost, but I love football and I watch it all the time. The last guy picked in the draft last year, what do they call him? Mr. Irrelevant. And he's been playing, was a quarterback, and he's with San Francisco. Jimmy G went down after taking over for Trey Lance, who broke his leg, and then Jimmy G, I think, did the same thing, or ankle or something. Now they got this guy in, Mr. Irrelevant, and he's won the last 2 games, and he made Tampa Bay last week look terrible, which I totally enjoyed. And they looked great last night. This quarterback had one of the greatest fakes. He was like, so he drops back, right? And he fakes to the one, there's like a tight end there, a running back, and then he turns around and fakes to another receiver, right here, which completely made the defense stop. And then he throws a pass down the middle for like a 25, 30-yard reception. It was a work of beauty. I was like, their coach, Kyle Shanahan, though, he is a genius. So it's like, is this kid really good? Or is Kyle Shanahan just making him a good? But there's a lot of talent on that San Francisco team. So, but wow, I was so impressed. I'm like, holy crap. Some teams just get the luck, One quarterback goes down, they put another one in. He goes down, they put another one in. They just keep winning. Kind of like those asshole Green Bay Packers, right? Yeah. So let's not talk about them. I don't even want to I don't even want to see the color green or yellow. It makes me nauseous. So that's it. You know what? First show back, and unfortunately, I got to talk about a team that's probably going to whip our ass. But we'll see. You never know, right? This is the Chicago Bears, and this is the 2022 season. But pretty sure. Well, I'm not pretty sure. I know that 2023 is already looking bright. It's going to be better, people. So let's just hang in there. And remember, it's not easy being a Bears fan. But there's something special about loving your team and just going in the ups and downs with them. I don't know why, but we do, right? Crazy. So I wish I had some positive things to tell you. My first show back in over, 10 days? 12 days, something like that. But I don't. So let's just hope for a good game. Right? That's what we want. A good, solid game. Regardless of the score, Bears just error-free football. Because you know what? It's Christmas, and we frickin' deserve it. We need a win for Christmas. I don't think it's going to be this Sunday, but we need another win. What would really help the Bears, like what Tony Dungy was saying, is you need to learn how to win, and you got to feel how good it is. And the win at the end of the season just carries over to the next season. So that's what's really, I think the last couple games, which is Detroit and Minnesota, I think that's where we should concentrate on possibly winning. I mean, believe me, I would love to win all 4 of these games, but it's not going to happen. But, so let's see. All right. So, it's the holiday season. I just wanted to wish all my viewers a happy holiday and a good new year. I'm going to be talking to you until the end of the year, of course, but it's the holidays. I always leave this show with a kind message. Be kind to one another. Love one another. Stop hate. Inspire change. It's tough this time of year, particularly for people. And it's tough all the time right now. There's a lot of people sick. There's so much going on in this country. So just be kind to one another. I don't know. It's a weird thing to bring up, but this shows you just really don't know. There was a guy that was on Ellen for 8 years. He was a dancer. His name was Twitch. Some of you might know who he was. And just always, I watched him for 8 years on Ellen, and every day. 5 days a week, and the guy always had a smile on his face. He always did dance videos with his wife. He has 3 kids, 2 young ones, and on Monday, he went to a hotel and he committed suicide. 40 years old. See, you just never know. I mean, that rocked a lot of people I know. It rocked me, I won't lie. So my point is, you just never know what somebody's going through, so be kind, okay? This show announcer would love it. And I love you all, my loyal subscribers. I'll be back on Monday after the game, and then we're going to finish out the year, And don't forget, I do my other show on Wednesdays. The tag name is Bears Country Podcast, and the title is The Down Low with Dan and Lynn. And like I said, you should check out this last Wednesday show. You don't have to watch it all because it's pretty long, but it's pretty good because he surprised me with a guest. And this guy's from England. He's a huge Bears fan. He lives in England, and he saw me on Dan's show when Dan and I got together on our show, and then he's even subscribed to mine. Hey, Chris, and his name is Chris, and Dan, I got to tell you about this. It's pretty cool. Dan has started a GoFundMe page for Chris, and his name is Chris, Watts. You could look him up, and the GoFundMe page, you should go and read it about Chris. It's pretty cool. Dan is trying to get enough money raised to bring Chris to the United States, to Chicago, to a Soldier Field game, to a Bears Soldier Field game. And Chris has never seen that, and he's been a fan forever. He said England and himself fell in love with the Bears after that 85 season, and, who wouldn't? And he's been a fan ever since, and the Bears are very much loved in England, which is kind of cool, and he's really cool. He is a character, Chris. So he came on the show on Wednesday, and we just had a blast. So if you want to contribute and get him to a Soldier Field game or a Bears game in Soldier Field next year in 2023, where we're going to be winning, go ahead and put in $20, $25. I know you don't know him, but go read about him. Go look it up. Chris Watts, and it's ChrisWatts. So I have been rambling. I'm going on a little too long. Sorry, guys. I haven't been here for almost 2 weeks, so, deal with it, all right? I love you guys. We're coming up to the end of the season. I can't believe it. I couldn't wait for the season to start, and now we're at the end of it, and we're 3-10. Not exactly what I had planned, but hey. But it's been a great year. I love doing the show. I love you guys. I love doing the podcast. So, keep on watching. Tell everybody you know. I know a lot of people, the show views have been going down because the Bears have, the season's gotten worse and worse. But you know what? Why not turn me on? Boom. I love it. Actually, we're going out tonight I'm going out with my son and my daughter-in-law and my grandson. We're going to go to this really cool light show, and Santa's there. And I said, Santa's there? I said, awesome. I'm going to be sitting on Santa's lap, and I'm going to be whispering what I want for Christmas in his ear. Because, it might be a little R-rated. Hey, man, I've been alone for 14 years after my husband passed away, I am alive. So we'll see what Santa brings me this year. Anyways, so you guys have an awesome weekend. And like I say, be kind, love one another. I love you guys. Tell everybody about me. If you like my show, subscribe to it. And I ain't going to make my 400 subscriptions this year, but I'll get them next year. So on that note, let's see what happens on Sundays. Go Bears. And as always, keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. Oh, bye-bye.